Hello, welcome to Summerfest Online 2020. Thank you very much for coming along to view these presentations. Just a quick reminder that we have a number of exhibitors in the exhibitors hall. If you want to go along and have a quick browse, maybe do some shopping, then we'd love to see you. And a quick reminder too about our wonderful sponsors, Yayo Hemp Products and Butte Island Cheese. They're also in the exhibitors hall and they'd love to see you too. If you've enjoyed the show, please remember this is a free event, and if you'd like to make a small donation, you'd be very welcome. Please go to the Friends of VegFest page to make a donation. And a reminder too, we have another show in November, London Online, and in next March, Plant Powered Expo. And you can find out all about that on VegfestUK. Thanks very much and enjoy the presentation.
I need you to listen, I need you to hear, and don't show any fear. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
My name's Mark, this is Mandy.
Hello.
And we'd be delighted to do a small virtual tour of our sanctuary and the work we do. And Mandy here, my partner, she'll happily introduce you to some of the animals and the characters we got here. Firstly, just a brief history of Friend. We've been going now for 25 years, just over 25 years. It was started by my late wife Marion, who sadly is not here with us anymore. She started Friend by rescuing a little lamb who changed her life by simply realising how clever sheep are, or lambs are, and that was a game changer for her. She then became a committed vegan and committed to rescuing animals, and this is what we have today. Before we start, I'd like to of course send our love and best wishes to everyone that's been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So we'd like to introduce you to the animals and talk about, first of all, our lovely little goats, as you can see behind us. So we're just going to go inside, and I'm sure Mandy will introduce you to some of the playful characters, as they say.
This is one of our baby goats that arrived at Equinox last year, so that was in March. There was a goat farm was closing down, the dairy farm was closing down, and there was many goats, I think almost 92 goats that were being asked to find homes. Sanctuaries were all over the country were being asked to find homes, and we were lucky enough to be able to have these. And this is Amma, and over here we have, I'm not going to show you, we have Hella and Freya, and there's another hiding over there in the this is Dave. These are our goats. Dave's the king of the goat paddock. Yeah, so this was the first time that we actually had animals from the dairy industry, which really shows the changing times. And Dave was found abandoned a very long time ago, and he's been here for the longest.
Yeah, him and Daphne.
Him and Daphne. He's a real character. He's a real character and always has been. Everyone who comes here knows Dave. Mainly because, look at this, he's very easy to identify. But he's the first to have the food, he's the first to come for whatever goodies there are. And he definitely is the alpha of the gang, isn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
And, ghosts have a really strict hierarchy, don't they, as well? They really...
I mean, this is sort of some of the important work we have to do because, we'd like here, we'd like to give them a much bigger space, which of course costs money.
But it involves the security of the boundary, which is important. We've worked really hard to secure a lot of it, but we still have another area that isn't yet.
Yeah, and if people come and visit, which I hope, when this pandemic's died down and we can open up again, you can come and meet these goats and just make sure you ain't got any sort of money hidden in your pockets or anything like that, because they'll soon put it out and eat it.
Or oranges.
Yeah.
Or kale.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been a lovely new area for all the goats, because the goat population's really increased, I know, since the last couple of years I've been here.
Yeah, I know.
Some great structures
we're at
for them to play
capacity now,
on,
really.
And we want to sort of, give them a bigger space. We want to give them like new tables and climbing frames.
The area over here, actually.
Yeah.
We're going to extend around the next paddock is also going to be theirs. So they have a huge area. But also so they can have a bit of space from each other. The thing is, they love being with each other all the time. But sometimes, some beings can be more dominant than others. But every time you separate them, they try to get back together, don't they? So they just need a bit of space where they can be independent, but then come back together. So they're a very strong family.
Well, they seem to eat breakfast together, so a family that eats breakfast together can't be that bad.
Eat together, stay together, isn't it? That's the way it is. Yeah. And this is Terry and Pashley, mummy and baby, as well as mother and daughter. One of the very rare times the mother and daughter get to stay together. As well, obviously, in the agriculture industry, that's the one thing we know is that mothers and daughters, mothers and their children are separated. This is her mum, very shy mummy. This is Pashley. And her very brave baby, Terry, who's not such a baby anymore, right?
No.
Yeah, coming out of her shell a little bit, because they're usually inseparable, literally like shoulder to shoulder, aren't they?
Yeah, no, her personality is very different. She's much more outgoing and less
as you can see, checking back in.
Yeah, always. Checking back to the safe space that's always your mum, right? And the formidable Daphne. The queen to Dave's king. Hi, Daphne. Always the first with the food, along with Dave. And keeps control of everybody else, basically. And they're so lucky to be living their life free and safe from harm at Frand. Life would be very different if they hadn't have been here, and was very different for them before they came here. So we're very honoured to have them here. And you're very popular as well. People love the goats, everyone loves the goats, and you can see why.
Yeah, we've got a public footpath just outside here, and we've been having lots of families from the village who didn't even know we existed. And you can always tell they always stop here, ready to watch the goats.
Dave, how do you feel about all the visitors that have been coming through? I've noticed it myself. The kids really love to interact, especially. It goes back to the whole story of how kids just want to, respect animals.
And
it's so different seeing an animal in reality rather than one in a picture book. And this is the difference. And people, when they're actually with them, they see them so very, very differently. You can see their individuality, their personality, their quirkiness.
I mean, I often tell a story of, one of the things that cheers me up is when, families come to visit the sanctuary and, and the kids sort of first of all, they just run up to all the animals and then, of course, you tell them, it's Dave the goat and, Tulip the cow and, and then as soon as they've got them named, they go running to their parents and, Mum, Dad, we don't want to eat chickens no more, we don't want to eat pigs no more, we don't want to, and then it happens, and I just see the look of despair in the parents' faces, their life's now changed forever. And really, this is what we got to do. We got to get the children in, and let them interact. And I wish I'd been allowed when I was a young person. If my parents had brought me to somewhere like this, I think my life would have changed a lot sooner than what it did. Even though I've been vegan for a very long time, I still come into it quite late, really. And the more I just hope that the future generations can be the change that we need to see. Definitely.
Our fellow animals are kind of invisible in a lot of ways, aren't they? People don't see the animals when they're buying the products, do they?
No. And and we have to thank the sort of early pioneers really of the sanctuaries that have opened up, sort of Hillside Retreat and Tower Hill and all these kind of and us and and some of these sanctuaries are sort of been going for about 30 years and things, 25, 30 years, which is quite a long time. And as we do the tour, we'll be talking really more about sort of the important role sanctuaries will be playing in a sort of changing world for sure. We will become more needed, they will become important for lots of different reasons. First and fundamentally, of course, to rescue animals, to save them from harm, but the impact that will have as well in education, which is huge. I think the animal kingdom is very wise. You know, they soon know if you mean harm or not.
They do.
You know,
and sensitive harm.
And and why should they not trust you if you know if you've done them no harm or tormented them?
It takes time to build the trust with them.
Oh, it does. Yeah.
Then that's what it's about, right? And our honour to do it as well, which is the thing.
Yeah, these are our oldest residents.
They are.
They're about 17, 18 now, are they?
They're 19.
19.
20
oh my God! And when I got here, they were probably 6 months old. Just young calves, and. Yeah, it's been an honour, I think, to watch them grow and the difference, the change in them over the years, and I think that's a good symbol of the change is the fence that we've built here, because when they were young, they were forever getting through there, and behind here is an apple orchard, and I was always pinching the farmers' apples.
Looks like they're still getting through it a little.
So the farmer planted all these conifers, and that was to lock them in. There was no other reason. It was a windbreak as well, but I know it was fact because of our cows. And then we've got a little chain link fence, and then this post and rail. So we've got 3 barriers to stop them escaping. And I've seen cows jump fences that high and get underneath and just walk straight through.
They're like tanks, right?
Yeah, and what's interesting, I used to have a phone that basically was attuned to our neighbours for any animals that broke into their garden, and he was always phoning us up. So as soon as I saw his name on the phone, I knew it'd be him. And wherever cows break out, they'll only come back in that gap. They won't, there's no way you can take them anywhere else to try and get them back in. And it used to be funny because he'd be trying to chase them in his car or his vehicle to try and chase them out of the main gate, and I just used to give him no. They'll go out here, and then I guarantee you, in the end, they'd all come back in. Yeah, as soon as they saw me, they knew. Well,
they represent you with home and food.
Yeah.
All the things that are in.
Yeah, I mean, cows are notoriously nosy. Without a doubt. Inquisitive.
And they follow each other.
Yeah. If there's ever saying the grass is always greener, that was meant for cows.
Anyway, this is Handsome, and you can see why we call him Handsome. Because he's gorgeous.
I'm always blown away by how gentle cows are. I think a lot of people look at cows and they think they're these big animals, and they are, and definitely to be respected.
But they are the gentle giants. I think is a really good way to describe them.
They look magnificent, and and where do you get your protein from is always something that's labelled as herbivores, and they're a testament really to sort of how well you can live on a
strong
plant diet. Yeah. Cows, I've noticed sort of over the years, of course they're herd animals, but within their herd they do form their own little friendships and partnerships.
They do. Relationships.
Yeah, and they get very, very stressed if you break that relationship up. It's quite it's quite mind-blowing really. Even in the face of danger they won't leave each other, and of course that's how we exploit them to get them into the slaughter process, because if you can get one go through, they'll just keep going, and even if you stop here they know what's coming, and you can just see the torment because they don't want to go, but they're just driven because their friend, it's the same as us. If one of our partners were going in, you'd be compelled to go in, even if you mean, it's a grisly end, if you like. And I hate the fact that they're so gentle, so trusting, and yet we abuse that trust so badly. That's not just cows; it's all the animals. But they are beautiful. And I suppose we have become a bit of a retirement home for animals, really, haven't we? And
we have a lot of our animals are very old now, but that's an honour to have an old animal in this day and age when the average animals of age of animals being slaughtered is so young, so much less than their actual potential age.
Yeah, I mean, probably
19 and going strong, and in the industry, some boys are less than 48 hours. Other times it can be 6 years, but not much beyond that.
No,
they've had so much extra time, which
and of course, as the demand for meat goes up, so they get slaughtered younger and younger.
He so much wants to come and say hello because, of course, he is the most handsome cow. Hence the fact he's called handsome. You come to
got
see.
A photo bomber handsome.
To see.
You love the camera, don't you? It shows that mutual trust and respect, doesn't it?
Yeah. They do. They know.
Yeah, one of the questions we get asked often is, what's your favourite animal? And that's a very, very difficult question to answer. And
you always get asked that.
Yeah, and I always say, really, I haven't got a particular favourite animal, but I'm very, very fond of the old animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, they and they're vulnerable and
because it really is such a privilege to be.
Yeah.
And the fact that it is even possible that they're still here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're 1 in a billion, 1 in a trillion.
Yeah, no, totally.
And you can really see, because they've had such a long time to live together as a group, you can really see the way in which they form relationships wouldn't be possible with a younger herd or beings in a more stressed environment. The fact that they can come here and be fully cow, whatever that means, what it means to them, right? And that's what they do, and they do. They're all in couples. They all have very close relationships. And occasional arguments, but not so much. A little old for that. A little old for that now. Yeah.
They experience life in a way very similar to us, I reckon.
Yeah.
Probably more so than we know.
Yeah. They're like a group of best friends that's been together for a very, very long time. Family.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they are beautiful.
Well, these obviously are the large white pigs we have, and what really struck me when I come here was really sussing out how clever pigs are. Sort of over the years, I've kind of had sort of some serious love-hate relationships with certain pigs, and
mainly love.
And
I'm gonna go get
I adore pigs. And I suppose really we've probably got more pigs than we have, any other rescue animal. There's one story I tell again and again, a story of Paul. And Paul is actually not a large white, he's an Anglicized. He's right over the back there, and he's when he first come, he was a tiny little piglet, and bless him, he used to just, we hand reared him, and he certainly used to follow us around all the time, and he used to just sit there and just watch whatever I was doing. He would just sit there and watch, so much so I actually found it a little bit spooky. He was just like this white ball of fluff with these like brown eyes just looking at me, and whenever I'd work I'd stop, look round, and he'd be there wherever I went. And one day I was just fixing a little sliding bolt on a gate here, and when I'd finished it, tested it, I walked away, and I just stopped and turned round, and I saw Paul walk up to it, flick the bolt open with his nose, open it, pull the gate open, started oinking to all the other pigs, and they all just legged it into the field and started rearing up the field. I couldn't believe it. And we got a blue van behind us, and we used to keep the food in there, and we couldn't do it anymore because Paul used to be able to open the sliding bolt, open the door, get in, pull a few trays out to feed all the others, and then just spend the night in there. And the amount of mornings I used to wake up and find him snoring in the back of the van, just covered in grapes and avocados and bananas and things like all the time. I think there's a famous story.
It's the cleverest boy ever.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a famous video of that dog in Battersea that used to be able to get in the middle of the night and walk down and open up all the food stores and and then open up all the other dogs' cages and have a bit of a...
But Paul is the back of the van with all the hay.
Yeah.
I found him in there loads of times, and he even shuts the door behind him, and sometimes he locks himself in. Which,
very polite.
but he doesn't work for him because he ends up looking himself in.
You know, and I always maintain you can always tell how clever an animal is by how naughty he is, and Paul's
how sentient they are.
And Paul's the naughtiest pig I've ever met. And still today he is. If there's any trouble, anything that goes on, Paul's behind it.
It's Paul.
You know, without a doubt. You know, the farmers and making a nice little comeback.
Sounds like someone wants to add to the conversation.
You're saying another thing.
I have something to say about mini pigs. I love the way they talk to each other, the pigs talking to each other.
Yeah. Oh, they do. I mean, they've definitely got their own language. And I mean, we were talking about this other day, the story of Avocado and Mungo. Yeah, Mungo got very poorly with a sore leg, which is now thankfully recovered. At the same time, Avocado turned up as a little baby piglet, and he had a severe form of mange, and he was very, very poorly. So he had to kind of keep him in quarantine them both. They was in the same stable block but cut in half, and they couldn't see each other. But because they were there for so long, they just used to talk to each other. And and then as time went on, obviously they both healed, and we let them out. And even though they hadn't seen each other at all, Avocado just went straight to Mungo, and they become best friends. You know, and it was amazing, really. I was quite blown away by it, because clearly the interaction they had when they were ill, even though they couldn't see each other, they formed a bond, a relationship, and they recognised each other straight away. Yeah, straight away. We know so much about science and other such things. With the animal kingdom, really, we're still kind of, we don't know that much. And I think a lot of the reason is because basically we do eat them, and we use them for our own gains. So I think there's not really a big vested interest in getting people to understand how sentient, intelligent these animals are, because if they did, I think people would give up eating them overnight. You know, and you could no more eat a baby pig than you could, harm a baby human. It would just seem inconceivable. But of course, if you the lies they tell us, if you like, if you think, scientists will say that animals are just instinctive, they have no real intelligence or sentience at all. But that's wrong. I mean, all it is, we don't understand it. We don't, and the more that we look at them, the more apparent and intelligent they are. Without a doubt. And I think then it becomes a rights issue then, without a doubt.
You even got some friends to join you.
Yeah. I'm very fond of the sheep. I have a big soft spot, because obviously that's how Friend was started. And and that's Sanchez coming to say hello. And of course, straight away, very different to how you would normally meet sheep, because they'd all run away from you, and they're a symbol of how Friend was started, but they're also a symbol, really, a very, very great symbol of how rescue's changing and our society's changing a little bit. I've always maintained that we're not in that sort of horrible carnivorous world of, say, 30, 40, 50 years ago. But neither are we in this sort of vegan utopia. We are in a sort of transition. We've had piglets here where people have just walked past little small holdings with their children, and they've thrown a bit of food and that for the piglets, and then realise what's happening, and then just, oh my God, no, can't do that, and then doing a deal with the farmer to save them. It's becoming more common, and I think that gives me a little bit of hope, really, that the things are changing for the better. Sheep, by their nature, again, very clever animals. They've got brilliant face recognition skills, sort of years after meeting you, and they can recognise famous people and things like that, apparently. But how they worked that one out, I do not know. I'm very fond of sheep. And we have, again, if people come here and want to meet them, we do have some lovely characters that just, like Sanchez and one or two others. Yeah, be happy to come and say hello. Talking to saying hello. Just said hello.
I know, hi.
Yeah, just the cows have just sort of like, you can tell the trees, you can just see their cow head high. Welcome to the bird area. This actually is one of my favourite places on the whole site, especially in summer.
It's a very vocal.
Yeah.
Birds behind you.
Yeah. I mean, we do have a very mixed bag of various birds, and all of them rescued from, whatever industry really, like from the egg industry, meat industry, down. Without doubt, probably the most abused land animal on the planet.
And chickens and stuff.
Yeah.
And turkeys, I guess.
Yeah, and it sort of cheers me up really to be able to, or makes me happy to be able to offer them sanctuary, and it does epitomise really what we're about, because when you think like. The cows and the pigs are the lucky few that are saved, and many hundreds of thousands of millions. These even more so. As much as I just want everyone to sort of kind of mentally change, and become more compassionate with our law enforcement. If laws can speed things up a bit, because some people will never change. There's no doubt about that. It'll be a generational thing, evolution. And have we got time for people to evolve? I don't think so. I think we've got. So that's where the law can help. But ultimately, I just want people to go vegan as quick as they can. Before this became a sanctuary, Marion had this as a plant nursery, just selling bedding plants, and it was a nice symbol of the sanctuary really, because this is how it morphed into a rescue, because the animal market where she bought the little lamb from was right next door to the plant market where she used to buy plants from. So that's how that was the connection. And and then she was selling plants at the same time, just getting more and more animals, and then sort of like, of course, the animals started destroying the plants, and then the plant business kind of died a death, and the animal rescue started thriving. We've sort of come full circle almost, and we're just in the process of getting these kind of up and running again, the polytunnel, but this time for sort of to grow food. We want Friend basically to be a model of how we can coexist with animals, grow food, keep animals, and then educate people they're not supposed to be on our plate. What's grown in here is supposed to be on our plate, and that's really what we want to do. That's the future of Friend, a very educational based area, where people can come, especially children, and get educated, because I think the world needs it, the planet needs it. And I'm not sure that's enough, but it's certainly something, and even if we don't make it, I mean, ever since I was a young person really, I've always wanted to try and change and save the world. It's always just been in my DNA, and and I've sort of gone from C&D to sort of road protests to all sorts of things over the years, environmental pre-owned stuff, and now I'm here. I've kind of evolved. I think this is really where I think the truth lies. A vegan sort of permaculture kind of system really to save the world. And if you can come in here, you can just have a look at some of the stuff. These are our courgettes. I mean, look at these lovely, just grown beautifully. A lovely tomato plants. And we've got cucumbers growing over here.
Tomatoes are great. They're big, aren't they?
Yeah.
Once those go red.
And we want to sort of grow food, and hopefully that'll be a nice little income stream, because there's no doubt about it, with this pandemic, charities will be hit hard. So, but also it's it's our activism, you know what I mean, which I think is first and foremost, you know, and I think growing food and fair shares to all, so I'd be quite happy to, you know, sell it to people that can afford to buy it, and also give it away to people that can't. But ultimately what we want to do is the seeds. The seeds are the important thing. We want to produce seeds, get a little seed bank together, and then give people seeds to grow. And put these on the plate and keep the animals off the plate, and that is fundamentally the core principle now of what we're going to be running Fen by.
I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Thank you for supporting Friend all these years. The volunteering, the donations, and sharing their posts on social media is what enables Friend to keep doing what they're doing and keep the dream alive that one day all animals and their rights will be respected.